Right, for more on that verification process, we are joined by African Christian Democratic Party MP and Social Development Portfolio Committee member Marie Sukers. Marie, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. Seems Sassa is saying they are caught between a rock and a hard place, right? There's fraudulent activity that is taking place. There are ghost beneficiaries. This has been flagged by the Auditor General, and therefore they have to, it's not even a glitch, but they've taken a proactive step to suspend payment to 150,000 beneficiaries in order to rectify that situation. Is this a good move?
Well, good evening, Thabo, and I'm very glad to be in the new year, but with old problems. I'm glad to be on your program, but not very happy with what we are hearing on the ground in terms of the impact of this on beneficiaries that rightly qualifies for this grant. The problems that we are having are systemic problems. You have them in different shapes. In December now, we are saying it's because beneficiaries needed to be verified. Why is it that we are doing it in January, that there are various things that the department could have done? I have spoken to the CEO earlier in communication, and there is acknowledgement that they could have done this differently. The impact of this on the most vulnerable, especially our elderly people, children going to school next week, is that it affects them the most. And you must understand that when somebody does not get their grant, it means that they then need to defer to get loans from loan sharks. So we are putting people again in a very precarious position financially. The impact on them is humongous. This is their lifeline.
Yeah. Sassa would like us to believe that it's as simple as going to present proof of life and everything is sorted. Are you saying it takes a little bit longer than that?
Of course it does. I mean, we are now asking people to come back. Why? Let me start by the issue of what they're saying being proactive, right? One of the key things that the ACDP has consistently said, and I'm going to reiterate it again today, is that one, we cannot afford the continued inefficiencies that dogs this department and the dysfunctionality. We have systemic issues that are historic within Sassa, and it becomes part of the culture of the organization. The organization the department has been in a turnaround strategy that they have given the committee, the portfolio committee, presentations on. We have not seen the impact of that, where it is the client. At the end of the day, whatever you do, there is a person at the end of your service line. And it is those people that we need to have in mind when we are talking about proactive. We should have then, in December already, flagged those beneficiaries to ensure that they get their details verified with their local Sassa officers. We cannot regurgitate the same kind of problems over and over. This is not proactive. It is not systems first, it's people first, right? And we keep on making the same mistakes. So just from answering the question that you've said, one, for me, is that organizationally it seems as if we are repeating the same mistakes over and over. Yeah. We are allowing the most vulnerable to be impacted by it. As a portfolio committee, for the rest of this term, it is for us to ensure that this department does better and that the new administration is actually going to up the ante around efficiency and functionality. Yeah. We cannot continue to have the same problems over and over.
Well, Sassa would say it's the same portfolio committee tomorrow that will want to hold them accountable if there is a report that says they are paying 150,000 ghost beneficiaries. So it's a case of damned if I do, damned if I don't.
No, it's not. Look at the system that you are servicing. Look at this is an 18 million beneficiaries that you are servicing month on month. If you look at it from a business or just from an organizational perspective, and you look at who your clients are, it means that the high priority for you is to alleviate distress, to alleviate poverty, and for that reason, efficiency is one of your key priorities as a department. And for that reason, we are keep on reiterating the same thing. When you look at who you're servicing, the size of your system, it means that from an organizational perspective, you absolutely need to make sure that both your human capital, your managers up until the grassroots level, wherever they are servicing, have the same kind of attitude, which is efficiency and functionality, because we cannot afford to make mistakes. If you look at any person who is reliant on 1,900 Rand per month, and that is their lifeline, that is their bread and their butter. Without it, their lights are off, they have no bread on the table, they are suffering from illnesses and diseases, they have comorbidities. You cannot afford, as a department, as an organization, as a leadership, to not have the mindset that we must be a learning organization, we must put people first, and we absolutely must drive efficiency.
Yeah. So what would have been an efficient way of handling this situation, which they say they've, for example, some of these beneficiaries sent them letter for as far back as 6 months ago, but have not received any kind of correspondence back from those beneficiaries, and so they have no proof that those people actually own those accounts and they're still alive.
This is where I talk about systemic inefficiencies. You have constituency officers, you have councillors on the ground, you have your health centers in the middle of our communities, you have NGOs at a grassroots level. Are you telling me that we're servicing 18 million people? And the reason why I am emphasizing this is because you need to understand the competency that you need as a department, as a leader, as an operations manager, if you are servicing such a huge system. We are not getting it right because we keep on doing the same bureaucratic messes we repeated year on year. That's the reason. What you could have done is you make sure that everyone that is within that system, whether it be your constituency officers on the ground, communicating with their constituencies, and this is why your parliamentary constituency officers are so important for our communities, because it is a direct line. Again, it assists the system to service and bring service delivery closer to the people. You have councillors. What are our councillors doing? If we cannot utilize a whole system approach, meaning public representatives, your NGOs, all of it, to service the most vulnerable. That is what we should have done. And just on a systemic level, what is it for Sassa to not, and it's a human capital issue. It's because we do not have a capacity at a grassroots level in our Sassa offices. We are not servicing our communities person on person. You're not dealing with people that has a cell phone, that whose cell phone stays the same for a year. You don't. You're servicing a clientele that you know the best communication with them is at a grassroots level. Yeah. Why are we not upscaling that?
So they're saying they're well aware of that, but are requesting the people to then continually update their information should it change. They're well aware that they're dealing with people who could have lost their phones, they get a new phone, maybe they're not even staying at the same address because, these are people that don't have permanent accommodation because of just their situation, so they keep moving. Right. So they're putting that request to say, well, those people, when they do make that move, need to update their details.
Look, we can say all of these things, right? And it's after the fact. My big thing is around you can anticipate that 150,000 people are not going to get in January their grants. You can anticipate that. At the same time, you know that it is right after Christmas. Children are going to school. Most of these people are absolutely reliant on that. My expectation at this level is because there's anticipation in the system, that you then proactively engage with the people. And there are various points where you engage with people. I'm telling you, as a committee member, what this committee needs to do is to up the ante around accountability and for the department to say exactly what have they done to ensure that these people's payments, payment information is updated. And I can tell you now that we would find it insufficient because we're dealing with a sluggish system. We're dealing with a system that always is behind the curve, all the time. Yeah. It is unacceptable for government to continue to operate in the way that it does. If I tell you today that I have constituents that are grant dependent that cannot have their medication, they can't get high blood pressure medication in Hope Town, in the Northern Cape. So they suffer from not having food, they don't have medication. You tell me the lived experience of anybody who is at the receiving end of such a system that continuously fail its own people. How does that person, what is their quality of life for the elderly, for children going to school? So from that perspective, it becomes unacceptable. There is no excuse. You anticipate as a manager, especially at this level, you anticipate, you proactively engage with your client to ensure that you deliver on what they need.
Anticipate, proactively engage with your client, communicate, and ensure that they get what they need. Heard you loud and clear, Marie Sukers. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on this evening. That is the ACDP MP member of the Portfolio Committee on Social Development there.